Welcome back to episode 167 of the Disorganized Wizard Club podcast. My name is Alex. I'm joined as always by Adam.
Hello.
And Cam.
Good evening.
And we're a group of Ottawa-based players that play just about anything and everything we can qualify for. We talk about decks, tournament stories, just about anything to help you and ourselves get better at Magic.
I'm still trying to get better. I don't know that I have been or I am. Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to hear about your punt,
Man,
too.
if I learned anything this weekend at Magic Fest Phoenix is that I have a hell of a lot of work to do to get better at Magic. My God.
We're not selling ourselves super well here.
I did so much losing this weekend, more losing than I've ever done at any GP weekend ever. I just could not win matches. It was really bad. But I had a good time, but I lost a lot. A lot.
I've never had those two things. If I'm losing a lot, I am fuming, dude. I hate it. I get so miserable. I remember when I lost that win in Toronto, I was just salty the rest of the weekend.
Man.
I just so mad. I just didn't go out that night, just stomping.
There's probably
hate it.
some takeaways though. You can learn from your experience there. You had a bad PT Phoenix, you got burned a bit, but you can rise from your ashes.
Okay, get out of here. Boo. I had a student ask me today if I was okay with puns for titles. And they were like, "Are you okay with puns and titles?" I was like, "I don't really care what your titles are. I just don't actually care. It's not like your titles really matter, but I don't know." And they're like, "What do you got against puns?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have anything against puns. It's just that my roommate's pun game is so much better than yours that you're just gonna look foolish." I don't know. I was like, "No, you don't understand. This guy just lives them." And I'm like, yeah. I mean, you can try. I told them, I was like, you can try if you want, but I reserve the right to fail you if it's really bad. And they're like, okay, I won't try. I was like, that's what I thought.
You got to call in an expert though. You got to do the pawn shop thing. I don't really know much about puns, but I got a friend who does.
Yeah, hold on.
I'll call him in here.
I got a ringer coming in here.
Ooh, this is an antique pun.
That's pun at least a B-. Nuts.
Well, before we jump into this episode today, we've got a big announcement to make. The DWC Organizational is back for the third time, coming at you.
Amen.
March 1st, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Standard best of 3 tournament hosted on Magic Arena. Where put the event is in the show notes for this episode. You can also find us on our Facebook page and our Twitter page, or over on our Patreon. You can go sign up for the event there. The event is free, like it always is. We're going to be streaming it or at twitch.tv/Disorganized Wizard Club. And we've got prizes again. Great sponsor of this podcast, Wizard Tower. WizardTower.com has sponsored the event again, throwing in some store credit for top 8 prizes. First place is going to be a box of Theros Beyond Death, supplied by us. It's going to be a great event. Really looking forward to it.
Free entry.
Yep.
You can win a box and store credit just for playing well.
In your underwear.
On a Sunday at home. Yeah, in your undies. Patrons get first dibs on registering.
Yep.
But otherwise, after that, free to register. You can head on over. Yeah, it's on Smash GG. Get in there.
It's going to be sweet. Mark your calendars, March 1st. And while we're on it, we'll plug a little bit about our sponsor as well. Wizard Tower has announced their WPNQ qualifier series for the next PTQ finals. They have 4 preliminary events, February 29th, March 7th, March 14th, and March 21st, all which feed into their finals event on March 28th. The first event is standard, then we've got sealed, standard, and pioneer, all which leads into the pioneer finals. You have to top 8 one of their preliminaries to make the finals. It's going to be a bunch of sweet events, great prizes. Check them out. You can pre-reg right now, wizardtower.com. Head on over there. It's going to be sweet.
Yeah, but more importantly, play in the organizational because I can't. It actually tilts me off that I can't play in it. It's super fun to cast it. I had a great time casting it. It's a lot of fun casting the organizational. It's cool seeing people, even just that we know from the Discord, showing up in the community and playing tournaments. People we don't know. I don't know. It's super cool. Some people sometimes even top 4 with wacky brews in the other ones, which is so cool. I can't remember, what is it, the Grixis mid-range deck the guy had?
Yeah, it was just Grixis stuff.
It was just Grixis stuff and he top forward.
Yeah, Dragon God. And
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was cool. His deck was sweet. So you see some sweet brews. Yeah, the organizational always a good time.
It's going to be sweet. March 1st, 2 p.m. Eastern.
The atmosphere in the Discord is a lot like the atmosphere on a paper tournament too. Just people talking about how their matches went. I can't believe you had the card. Just chatting about games.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So this past weekend was the last regional players tour over in Phoenix, taken down by Corey Burkhart playing Demir Inverter, the breakout deck of the weekend before, and the other two players tours takes down this event. I guess you could say the breakout deck of this weekend, though, was the Lotus Breach deck. A lot of players brought it to this event after it top 8'd Brussels, and it had a crazy high win rate on day one of the event. Put 2 copies into the top 8. This deck is kind of good, you could say. No copies of the deck top 8'd the Grand Prix that went alongside the Pro Tour, but a lot of really good finishes for this list in the Players Tour. What do you guys think of the Lotus Breach deck in Pioneer?
I mean, I don't even know that it's like long for this world. It can turn 3 kill. I don't know. I said to Pete, like our roommate, a week or 2 ago, like as soon as I first saw it, I was like, this thing's banned. This thing's done. This is not the kind of deck they want. I mean, it's kind of what we expected from cards like Underworld Breach, right?
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Dude, I do love to see old Vizier of Tumbling Sands back at it again from its time and tenure as a horrendous combo card in Standard. Remember?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a new perspectives.
That
New
deck
perspective
stunk.
Oh man.
That deck was terrible. I get so tilted every time I lose to it, man. Like, man, this deck sucks. It's like, man, it's like the ethical thing I was talking about where you play Ponza. It's like,
Oh yeah.
it's not ethical to play pawns in a tournament, right? Like, is it ethical? Well, I think it is, but like,
Of course it is. Blown up terrains is just honest pure magic.
yeah, but like, you're playing this deck, like, you're not going there to win the tournament. You're going there to make sure someone else doesn't win the tournament. Like, you're just trying to ruin someone's tournament. Like, you play pawns at a modern tournament, like, I'm not convinced that's an ethical decision from like, you know, like a virtue ethics, like decision-making standpoint. Because like, I was like ranting about this to Pete. I was like, yeah, but I love it. But I'm just saying that like from a community perspective, you're like agreeing, because like there's this agreement almost that you're entering the tournament to win, you know, or to top 8 or like,
Yeah.
you know, but some men, they can't be reasoned with money, you know? They just want to watch your terrains burn. Like, so, you know, there's nothing you can do. And like those people, man, are just unethical devils. Like, I got nothing else to say. And I'm one of them. Like, I'm definitely pro Ponza, but like, all I'm getting at is, you know, if you played the New Horizons deck in Standard, you know, as an unethical decision, like you weren't going to win, but you were going to tilt someone off the face of the earth and make sure that they had a bad time on your way to the O2 bracket. Like, well, 2-2 bracket or whatever it is.
Okay, as a counterpoint, maybe it is very ethical. If your goal is to increase overall happiness in the world, sure, there's a bit of an investment where there's some misery on the day of the tournament. However, months, years later, the sort of joke equity you get from the stories at these events makes much more happiness than your opponent suffered.
Okay, I have such a good story for you. It's my favorite. That's my favorite Dylan story of all time. I'm telling it. So this one time we're playing with our friend Dylan, who's been on the show, we played Legacy with, and he's been on the show to talk about Vintage and Legacy. You know, noted Eternal format lover, you know, who now has a permanent sort of position, so he'll be playing in the Toronto area all the time again. I think he's coming to Detroit with us, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's the plan. Anyway, you know, he's an old school player. He's been playing forever, and we were playing limited at a local store, and our friend's friend, who like I don't know super well, but he was newer to Magic, but like had a really kind of, I don't know, I'm not trying to dunk on him. He's like a good dude or whatever, but he had a really sort of like braggadocio style. He was like, man, I'm going to like start playing competitive Magic. And he went to a GP, like a crush, but he's like, I'm going to be on the Pro Tour within a year. Like, I'm sick. Like, hey, he's like terrible, right? But like, you know, it's whatever. Like, I don't, like, I'm not saying as like a person. But anyway, he's playing Dylan, and Dylan's playing, it's during cons.
Okay.
And Dylan's playing the Citadel Siege in his red-white deck.
So the best rare in the set.
Yeah. And it's game 2. He has 1 planes, and the guy boarded in Demolish or whatever and blew up his single planes or whatever. I think it was Citadel. It might have been another bomber. It might have been like Jamoka. I can't remember. Something like that. And blew up his planes. And Dylan's like, what? Why did you bring that in? He's like, I blew it up, or brought it in so I could get your Citadel Siege, but it doesn't get a gem. It's just artifacts. And Dylan was so mad. He's like, it doesn't get enchantments. Like, why would you bring that in? Holy shit. Like, he was so angry. And the guy's like, and the guy just dead face just looks at him and goes, yeah, but it still got you. Just like wouldn't admit that it was a mistake. It was just like, outplayed. I got you so good. Like, you suck. You know what I mean? And then he like went outside to go for a cigarette or something. And Dylan just had his hands in his pockets and he's just standing there with his head down, just looking at the ground, shaking his head. And then just out of nowhere, just kicks the table as hard as he can. Just kicks the table. I couldn't stop laughing at him, man. I was like legit crying when I found, yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Still got you. Dude, so tilting. Still got you, though.
The only thing that would have made that better if he just like stood up and flexed.
Man, it was insane. Brought it in because he thought it got enchantments. That only gets artifacts, right? Yeah, but it was still good. Still got you. Yeah, it was great, man.
It was great.
Dome was rankled.
Yeah, scoreboard.
See, so that's like a same thing you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone listening to this episode and us right now are happier than Dylan was mad.
I'm thrilled at how mad Dylan was. You
Exactly.
know? Thrilled. I couldn't be happier. I love you, Dylan, if you're listening. But I'm glad that you were that angry and that happened to you that day. So I guess, yeah, playing Ponza is like not that bad. But I think if you're playing this deck, you can actually win. And that's probably the problem to bring this all back to the Lotus deck. Yeah, I think this deck's probably a problem. You think it's long for this world?
Probably not. I don't like to feed into the whole ban discourse.
Yeah.
We might have a problem here.
Yeah, well, I just feel like this is the kind of deck they don't want in Pioneer, but
like it's very easy to hate out.
yeah, that's the other thing. Though.
We head on over to the first place list of Grand Prix Phoenix and check out this mono red Eldrazi list with 4 Damping Spheres in the sideboard. You think this deck ever loses to Lotus Breach?
No,
not in a million years.
Never,
ever.
Hasn't lost once.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people
you can definitely beat it.
Like if you look at a lot of the sideboards from the Pro Tour, not a lot of people were packing Damping Spheres, which I think is a change that most people will have made after this past weekend. And I mean, obviously, Lotus Breach loses a lot if your opponents are ready for it. But, the same can't really be said for Dimir Inverter. Took down the whole event, put, 5 copies of the deck?
I think it was 4. Oh, wait.
5 copies of the deck in the top 8 of the GP.
For some reason, they have another name on the other, so it kind of screwed me up looking at the list. Yeah, that's a lot. 3 Packer at in Burkhart's sideboard, too.
Yep. You love to see it.
Absolutely cheese them.
Another form of pure honest magic.
Dude, it was me.
He's in a pack rat. Oh, man, you'd love it.
Yeah, actually, like that. It's that one ethical, though, because you can win with that.
Yeah.
Ponza, evil.
Yeah. I ended up playing Dimir Inverter in the GP.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
So
what happened? I
played with 0 buys. All right. After I lost a lot on Friday playing in the PTQ, so let's start this whole thing off. Leading into the event, I was testing 3 different decks. I was testing Blue-Black Inverter, Sultai Inverter, and the Kethis deck that Hemsley played at the Pro Tour. So I decided to play Sultai Inverter at the PTQ on Friday. Went 1-3 before I dropped. Got absolutely destroyed. The deck was really bad. I'm like, there's no way I'm playing this deck ever again.
What was in the Sultai list that's different from the blue-black? What are you playing it for?
You're playing Caryatid, Grizzly Salvage, Uro.
Okay.
And yeah, just a solid graveyard package. The deck is a lot better versus aggressive decks than the straight blue-black Inverter deck is, but overall the deck is just not very good. So I got smashed in the PTQ. Then I played 2 GPTs with Kethis. Won round 1 of both of them in like very good, really interesting games. One against mono black, one against blue-white control. The games were sweet. And then just got absolutely stomped by Insol in the round 2 of both of them. So couldn't win any buys. And I was like, you know what, screw it. Both these decks suck. I'm just going to play Inverter for the GP. Round 1, get paired against a mirror match and like actually played really well. I think I just like played circles around my opponent, won pretty easily 2-0. The games were interesting. And I was feeling really good. Round 2, Blue-Red Phoenix, smashed my opponent 2-0. I'm like, all right, we're doing it. 2-0 in the event, haven't dropped a game yet, playing pretty well. Let's go. Then get paired against Band Spirits and just get absolutely smashed. Like, feel like I didn't have a chance. Get dunked on game 1, mull the 5, game 2, dunked on, over. I'm like, all right, it's bound to happen. Let's just shake it off and let's win the next round. So this is where things kind of, the wheels fall off. So I alluded to this in the pre-show that I made probably the worst misplay of my entire life in this tournament. And it happened in round 4 of the GP. I'm playing against Blue Eye Control, right? We're having a pretty good back and forth game. It's going long. I have 8 lands. My opponent has Teferi 5, Teferi 3 in play, bunch of cards in hand. And I've kind of played this game out, so we've got to this point. I have a Thassa's Oracle in play. I'm like, okay, I get to dig through time now, cast a dig for 2 mana, or 7 mana left. Then my plan is to Thoughtseize, then Inverter, Oracle. And I'll have 2 cards left in my library, the dig and the Thoughtseize. I'll have an Oracle already in play. Doesn't matter if they kill the Oracle in response. Maybe I can clear the way with my Thoughtseize. It'll be fine. 2 cards, 4 pips, I'll win. So I dig through time, and I Thoughtseize my opponent, right? I look at his hand of 3 lands, Teferi 5, Supreme Verdict, and Settle the Wreckage. And I'm like, awesome. None of these cards matter. I can just take whatever, cast my Inverter, cast my Oracle.
Oh, no.
So I take his Teferi.
I know where this is going. Oh, no.
I take his Teferi, cast my Inverter, cast my Thassa's Oracle, and he's like, all right, instant speed Supreme Verdict. And I'm
I
like,
forgot he plus Teferi 3.
yeah. And I sat there and I was like, God damn it.
Oh, I knew it too. So, yeah, I know. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Just had it all lined up. Should have just taken the verdict.
Yeah.
Thought it didn't matter because I just forgot Teferi 3 has
Yeah.
text when it pluses.
Ah, man. Those cards, man.
Yeah.
Narset and Teferi 3, they change game states in really
Yeah.
awkward ways.
Uh-huh. And then
Ugh.
that was about it for me. Lost the next game as well. It actually,
Do you ever get that feeling like you're cursed when something like that happens? You're like, I don't deserve to win another game, so you start
Yeah.
keeping bad hands. I
so-
swear to God, that happened to me once in a tournament. I was like, I can't believe how bad I played last game. I was like, that doesn't matter. I just kept like a 6-lander. I was like, I deserve this too. Like, you know what I mean? I just in a pit of despair.
I can't really remember what happened in game 2 because I was just kind of in such a fog because of how bad that play I made was.
Yeah.
But I left that match and I was like, all right, got to just shake it off. I'll be fine. Just play well for the rest of the day. Maybe we can squeak into day 2. Then I get paired against this guy playing mono red, not even like good mono red, chonky red. And I keep reasonable hands, and he just like top decks double lightning strike to kill me on the turn before I kill him in game 1. And then game 2, same thing. I like play an Inverter to stabilize. I know he has 1 card left, which is a lightning strike. Then he top decks another one to double strike my Inverter and then puts me to like 2 life. And I'm like, well, I can't win anymore.
Ugh.
And I was like, and then I was X3 and dead. I'm like, man.
Did you play on a Sunday PTQ too? Did you bring enough
So
L's
I
for the rest of us?
I played the rest of the event, finished 4-4.
Gotta get your Planeswalker points.
Wasn't good, but I played it out.
Yeah.
And
The
then-
love of the game bracket.
Yeah.
I've come to adopt the love of the game bracket as I've gotten softer and older.
Here's
know?
what I think you did wrong. You won your first rounds, and you were playing Inverter. If you had lost your first rounds, you would have won the rest.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm like now I think 7 and what is it? What was I? 7 and 9 in matches.
Yeah.
7 and 9 in matches going into Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'm not having a good
Rough
weekend.
percentage for you.
Yeah.
That's an unusual for the ELO.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'll play the Sunday PTQ. One last shot at it. Hopefully we can leave this event with a winning record. Kind of, Yeah.
You know it's grim when you're going into a Sunday PTQ and you're like, I just want to have a winning record. You know what I mean?
Literally, that's all I want. I was just like, I just want to have a winning record.
Yeah.
And then round 1, I get paired against Dylan Donegan, top 4 players championship competitor from SEG, just like ringer, right? We're playing an Inverter mirror, and I'm like, God damn it. Here we go. And he just like, Game 1 was actually very good, and we got to a point where I'm at 3 life. He has a Thassa's Oracle in play, 3 mana up, and I've kind of crafted so I have 5 mana left, can play my inverter, and then maybe win next turn depending on what he has. But I also have a Thoughtseize in my hand. I'm like, well, I don't want to Thoughtseize here and go to 1 life because maybe then this inverter doesn't resolve or maybe he just kills it and then I'm just dead to the 1/3 Oracle in play. So I don't cast the Thoughtseize, but then he Mystical Disputes my inverter with his 1 main deck 1 and I lose on the spot anyway. And he just like smoked me with Narsets and stuff in game 2, which I wasn't playing in my deck and I definitely should have been. But
yeah, Narset, something else. Let me tell you,
yeah.
I've been beating people down in standard with that card. Something fierce.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'll shortcut the rest of it because it's not interesting. I ended up 3-3, so did not have
No
a winning
positive
record.
Dude, what a beating! Wow, that is actually maybe the worst weekend you've ever had.
Yeah, it was not good. I walked away with like 140 tickets after spending a crap ton of money all weekend playing in all these events.
Yeesh.
Just got my dick kicked in all weekend.
Did they up the cost of packs at the prize wall?
Oh
too?
yeah, they did. I didn't buy packs. I
Dude.
bought like temples.
They like doubled the cost of packs.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember. Yeah, it's a beating. Yeah. I remember the only time that I was like that tilted, I went 1-6 at a sealed GP and I just refused to drop until I got my 1 win. So I started 06 for the record.
Yeah.
Got my 1 win and then just like went and blacked out. Like didn't play the next day. It's too hungover. Like I was just so miserable. I was like, holy crap. That was like, my pool was like, I kept trying to tell people like, no, like people complain about pools. Like you don't know what bad is. You know what I mean? And it was like one of those, but yeah, sometimes it's just probably just variance as it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone catches them.
Honestly, aside from that one horrible mistake I made in that one match in the GP, I actually think I played pretty well all weekend. And, LP and Hemsley, who were there, watched some of my matches, and they said the same thing. It's just like, I feel like I got abnormally unlucky. Like there was one match when I was playing Kethis and I have like a bunch of outs to kill my opponent, and Hemsley and LP watched me just draw like 8 lands off the top of my deck on a road.
Yeah, I mean, that happens sometimes. I've had a million matches like that where I'm like, oh, I've played this match like so well. I don't even think my opponent's played it well, but it just doesn't matter because I'm just flooding or whatever. Like
The problem is that those ones like really sting after you've lost a match that you could have won when you've punted, because like you can't lose those matches that you can win and still do well, because you need to have that like flex room to eat the like variance L's.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really stings when that starts happening after you could have played through it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the worst feeling.
Yeah. I definitely think like the first couple events I played, I could have just played a better deck and I probably would have had a better result. I thought my deck that I played in the GP in the last BTQ was pretty good. I would change a few card choices if I could go back and do it again, but overall I thought it was fine. I did learn a lot from some of the games. The inverter deck is a lot harder to play than you would think. And I definitely learned a lot playing it all weekend. But yeah, it was not a good weekend for wins for sure. But I still had a good time.
Yeah. Did Hemsley play the GP too?
Hemsley did play in the GP. He finished like 9-6.
Because I know he lost his winning in for the day 2 of the Pro Tour, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he finished X3-1, and the cutoff is X3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beating too.
Yeah. I think LP and Hemsley both played Kethis in the GP. LP finished 10-5, and Hemsley finished 9-6.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah, 10-5 is decent.
Not great. But
Yeah. Yeah, LP got, 10% of a fractional invite and $250, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I still had a good time. Man, so
They both played Kethis, you said?
They both played Kethis. We the one thing though, the food in Phoenix, I don't know if we just got really unlucky with all the places or that we went to eat and the places that were recommended to us, but it was awful.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't get too many good meals. Most places we went were pretty crappy.
That's why you got to go to the South, baby.
Yeah. Man, like we went to a barbecue place on Friday night, and it was very, very disappointing.
That sucks, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the best parts of traveling for Magic tournaments, is going to eat food.
Yeah. But what was super cool, when we were walking to the barbecue place on Friday night, we just ended up we were in the middle of downtown. We ended up on the street. And then I guess this is a thing they do in Phoenix the first Friday of every month. They call it First Friday. And they shut down this entire street. It's just filled with like street performers, like bands, DJs, people selling stuff, food trucks. And it's just kind of this whole street long like party or whatever. And we just walked through it on the way to the barbecue place. It was pretty cool. We got to this one point in it, which I've dubbed Conspiracy Lane, where it just started with this guy. He's just had this sign about how like religion is toxic, and he was just like ranting really aggressively at people about how horrible religion is. And then right beside him was this massive, massive billboard from the Flat Earth Society in the state talking about why the Earth is flat. It was so good.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was probably the best part of Friday night for sure.
Just take my class there on a field trip, considering the topic.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, it was a good weekend. I had fun. Lost a lot, but you know.
That happens, man.
Yeah, it happens.
You post a deck list you played in the Discord or anything? And like
Yeah,
talk about it?
posted all the deck lists.
Yeah, I think you were talking about like some sideboard stuff in there too. Like if anyone in our Discord has questions about how they'd sideboard with Inverter, I'm sure you have answers. So just ping us in the Discord if you're ever wondering about this kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Can't guarantee it's good advice though, because
I should start doing more sideboard guides. I did that blue-white sideboard guide for Stoneblade and Legacy, and people were stoked. I should do more.
Yeah.
I could do one for blue-white and Standard right now. Let me tell you, I'm playing that deck like crazy. That deck is busto.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty.
at least 4 people at the upcoming World know it.
Yeah, we can hop over to Worlds this weekend. They posted all the deck lists today. 16 players, 4 people on Team of Reclamation, 4 people on Mono Red Aggro, 4 people on Jeskai Fires, which is a bit
That's surprising to me.
surprising, yeah. Then 3 blue-white control players, 1 Jund Sacrifice, our hero Canister. The one person in the field.
Crazy enough to register this. I mean, imagine not playing blue-white control. Deck is insane. It's so good.
Have you guys had a chance to look through these decks yet?
No, but I mean, like I've seen all these lists. Like none of these are going to be surprising to me. I've played against. All I've been doing for like the last 2 weeks is drafting and playing Standard. So, like incredibly familiar with every possible list and every build.
Has much changed in Jeskai Fires since last format?
Not really. I mean, it's like basically the same.
Well, Cam, let's pull up one of these lists and take a good look here.
Oh, thank you.
So they have Dream Trawler in their deck now.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they sometimes play more Kenriths. Like they're just trying to jam Kenriths. I've seen lists with 4. This one has 3. There's like Javier Dominguez's list has 3.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's essentially the same deck, right? I mean, how much can you really change Fires?
Yeah, I didn't think like between your Cavalier package and the fact that you need 4 Fires itself, and then yeah, that makes sense.
I like just not convinced this deck is great.
It was like a scourge on Standard last format. So what made it fall off, in your opinion?
I think that the counter spells are too strong against them now in Standard. Like blue-white control being really prevalent.
Yeah, this deck did always fold to Narset, and if blue-white controls around with Narsets,
Dude, 4 Narset and main deck Dovin's Vetoes, 4 Absorbs. Like, yeah, man.
that'd do it.
Narset's just such a beating for them, which was something that I was adamant about for the mirror match, if you remember. But blue-white control. And then also the Wilderness Rack deck can buy enough time with Thassa's intervention. Right? Like they only need to stop Fires like for like a turn or 2, and then Wilderness Wreck can just kill you. Although I don't know. I wonder if Fires. I don't know. So I haven't played the Fires Wilderness Wreck matchup much, but I actually wonder maybe the Wilderness Wreck deck can't hold on long enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played any Standard at all. I'm just kind of now shifting gears to Standard to start testing for Detroit, which we're all going to next month. But all I've really played is maybe 5-6 matches of blue-white control. That's it.
Yeah, blue-white's super good. Super
It is.
consistent.
Elspeth Conqueror's Death is messed up.
Yeah, ECD's insane. The rule and there's tons of really interesting play patterns with it. It almost feels like Jace sometimes. Like if you play ECD first, you lose. Like in the mirror.
Yeah.
If you play ECD first, you're just hinting. Because then yours gets ECD'd and you just lose.
Yeah.
The other thing is, there's a bunch of stuff, but yeah.
There's not many worse feelings I've encountered than watching my opponent pick up their Elspeth Conqueror's Death with their Teferi.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Like one of the other things that in blue-white that I notice a lot of people don't do that they should be doing. Like if you want tips on playing blue-white, if you're in the mirror, don't just minus Teferi for value. wait until you cast something that you want to pick up. Like even if it's an Omen of the Sea, you have to grind out those percentage points values. But ideally, you're picking up an Elspeth Conquers Death or ECD. It's just bastard say it. But yeah, generally, like there were times in Standard where you would just minus Teferi for value, right? Because you're worried about it getting destroyed in some way. But that's just not the case in the mirror. And if they want to waste an Elspeth Conquers Death on it, I think you're mostly okay with that. So, although, I mean, just the lock of Elspeth Teferi sort of prevents most people from doing anything. If you can control the board with having both of them in play, you win. It's kind of how the deck operates. That's why you don't see Crisis decks now, right? Like the mid-range ones. They can't beat blue-white. They can't beat Narset.
All the ramp decks have sort of fallen
All the
off.
ramp decks are gone.
We
Because
don't
they
have
can't.
a blue-green mythics deck.
Yeah,
anymore.
right? And that deck was nuts. But all the cards in it, think about it. They all fold to Narset.
Yeah, that was my thought like
Uro.
weeks ago.
Wait, you gonna cast Uro? Yeah, dude. All right, go for it. Like Uro's trash against Narset. Hydroid Crisis unplayable. Nissa just dies to Elspeth Conquers Death. Like
Oh, man.
everything you cast that matters dies to either Elspeth Conquers Death, and Hydroid Crisis doesn't matter if you have a Narset. So, and also you're playing Glass Casket or Banishing Lights, so like Crisis doesn't matter.
Man, never did I think we would hear the day when we were saying Hydroid Crisis unplayable in Standard.
Well, it's not playable. I mean, people play Wilderness Wreck and stuff, but it's just not as impressive, which is it is kind of wild because what was it, a year and a half almost of Crisis just being in every single top 8. There was a time where nobody talked about banning it and everyone talked about banning like Field, where Crisis was in 75% of decks in every single tournament in the top 8. And nobody said a thing. It was a scourge of Standard for like a year and a half, but now, yeah, it's like a couple copies here and there.
It's actually just been in Standard when Narset didn't have support. When Super Friends was around and the best deck, Crisis wasn't really seen. There was a lot of Espermirs. People were playing a lot of Planeswalkers. Jeskai Planeswalkers was popular. Then like Teferi 5 and a lot of the supporting cast of Narset rotated. Crisis took over, as you were saying, was everywhere. And now with Elspeth Conquers Death and a couple other additions to Narset's control deck, Crisis falls off again.
Yeah.
What a world.
Standard is cyclical.
Narset was never bad. She was just waiting.
Yeah. There's some pretty cool things you can do with Elspeth Conquers Death too and Dream Trawler, like discarding it before the third trigger to get back your Dream Trawler. Like there's tons of cool tricks with the blue-white deck that are pretty fun.
Yeah.
Deck is very powerful.
Yeah, I do like the blue-white control deck. It's where we're starting for testing for Detroit. Still a ways off. Let's hop into some of these World's deck lists, kicking things off with Temur Reclamation. What do you guys think about Temur Reclamation in this field? We've got Mono Red, Jeskai, Blue-White Control, Jund.
So I think it has like a pretty good control matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you'll just get them eventually. Like if you're just pretty patient, like if they ever tap out, you just have to resolve the Wilderness Wreck and then they're kind of in big trouble. Like it has pretty good game. It can go long against the control deck. It has a lot of options. It can put pressure on things. What I don't like is I think it's really, really bad versus Mono Red.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Whereas I think Blue-White is good versus Mono Red.
Yeah, I can't really imagine ever losing to Mono Red.
Oh, you can definitely lose.
Really?
Because they can like annex you and you only have Wrath. And then they just make a bunch of 1/1s and you die to an Embercleave. Like it happens all the time.
Yeah, Annex seems to be just
Annex is
a massive addition to these red decks.
it's like the whole reason Mono Red exists.
It's just gigantic itself.
This person stole my list. They're playing 2 Commence the Endgame.
Paulo stole your list?
Unbelievable. What a thief, dude. I literally have messages with like Matt talking about how like people aren't playing Commence the Endgame and they should. Like it's actually insane in the mirrors. Like it's nuts versus so many of the decks just boarding in all these mystical disputes where you're just like you board out all your Shatter the Skies and then control just becomes like an ECD war with like Teferi and Planeswalkers. Commence the Endgame's busted in half.
Maybe, like, did Matt take your list that you were talking to him about and 5-0 some moto event? Because that's how people, like, pro players picked up Kethis was because Hemsley won.
Yeah, maybe this son of a bitch.
You should ask him.
Stupid Paulo. Guy charges like $100 an hour for coaching. Guy just stealing my deck list. But yeah, anyway.
You should copyright claim him.
Yeah, we're gonna get him. But I'm not playing Thirst for Meaning. Actually, I'm not a madman. So
This list is really interesting. Most of the blue-white control lists I've been seeing have been playing like 3 to 4 copies of Dream Trawler.
yeah,
It's
I'm
only playing 1 and 1 Archon of Sun's Grace.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Archon's pretty good, actually. You can do a lot of work with Archon. I used to have an Archon in my sideboard, but then I found out that I didn't really need it. So I don't know. Like I'm not huge on it. I used to. So in the original list I was talking about with the commences and everything too, I used to have it there. But yeah, I just felt like too much setup, too much risk. I felt like I didn't need it. One card I have in my sideboard that is not in this list is Heliod's Intervention, which has been like actually incredible for me.
The list I've been playing has 2 copies of that card in the sideboard too.
Yeah, I just have 1, but it's super good for like, the mono red matchup. Maybe you stop the Embercleave from killing you, that kind of thing. But I could see even playing 2 and bringing in both, just because stopping the Embercleave is really, really important versus mono red. It's one of the only ways that they kill you, it feels like. So yeah, super important. But yeah, blue-white. It's weird to see 1 Dream Trawler, but I guess he doesn't want to have multiple copies drawn. But you see other people doing the same thing, like Strosky. I've seen a few people switching to this. They're both playing the same list.
Yeah, I imagine they work together for the event.
Yeah, Dream Trawler is like an insanely messed up card.
Yeah, Taralf Severin's list is more in line of what I've been seeing. 4 Trawler, 4 Teferi, 4 Narset.
Yeah, this is like an adapted version of the Corey Baumeister list. Right, which was 4 Dream Trawler, which was what really no one was doing up until the SCG, where I've looked at like every blue list like obsessively. I was like playing a ton of it, just playing so much standard. Where the 4 Dream Trawler, but his list is down to 3 Absorb and then up on Dovin's Vetoes, which I actually like, and a main deck Mystical Dispute, which is good in the mirror. Dovin's Veto is incredible in the mirrors, like in the control mirrors. This many Dream Trawlers is not good in the control mirrors, but yeah, Dovin's Veto is like a huge haymaker in the control mirrors. It matters so much when people are boarding in all these mystical disputes. Game 1, people don't have a ton of counter magic. Dovin's Veto is really big. Against Wilderness Wreck, it's really important. Like, I kind of like that inclusion, like going down a little on absorbs. So for a bunch of reasons, I lately, on occasion, like on the draw against mono red, I'll board out absorb and Narsets because I'll leave in like a couple, but I'll shave like 1 or 2 absorbs sometimes, which I know seems insane, but you're just not countering stuff early. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be dead by the time you can sit on a cancel against mono red, right? So yeah, Dovin's Veto seems like you'll get more out of it. Like you might be able to stop because the mono red decks play like Tybalt or something. So if you're on the draw, Dovin's Veto lets you tag a Tybalt. Seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the Spectral Sailor. That's an old one that was originally in a lot of people's lists for the blue-white mirrors.
Yeah, 2 copies in his sideboard. I was going to comment on that. I haven't been playing enough standard, but this is something people were doing.
Yeah, it's quite good. Sorcerer's Spyglass, I think, is also underplayed currently. I think that card's very, very good.
Well, it was a popular sideboard card when a lot more people were playing food decks, but no one plays food decks anymore, really.
Except for one person and one madman in this
Our
pyramid.
hero,
Yeah.
Piotr Kogost.
But, it's actually like the Spyglass can still be good against certain matchups, actually. It can come in other situations that can be kind of helpful. It's really weird, yeah.
In this field, do you like it?
I don't think in this field it matters probably because, like, what are you naming? The mirror match,
Yeah.
Like, the only thing you're naming is, like Chandra or Tybalt out of mono red? Like, in this field, like, it's just a mistake. Like, he shouldn't have had it. But generally speaking, it's not that bad. Against his Liliana, it could actually be insane. Like, if he gets paired against food, it just looks nuts.
Yeah, Canister's food list actually looks pretty tight. I like the look of it.
Yeah, I don't like the God Eternal Bantu, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, probably.
It's Canister, so he's just going to play some, like, one-of dumb card, right? Because that's what he does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to have, like, this fun of, like, cards. So, yeah.
Yeah. With how the metagame looked, I kind of like the 4 Agonizing Remorse in the main deck. There's 4 mono red decks where it's, not the best, but
It looks
you have
pretty rough.
seven other opponents where,
It's not the best against mono red.
or
but
actually, you have
His matchup
11
against-
other opponents. It's
His
pretty
matchup
good.
against mono red doesn't look good, actually.
no.
But he's a food deck, so, like, it'll be okay in general.
I mean, my experience is that like if you get a Mayhem Devil going, it'll just mow down mono red, and then you have enough like life gain other places. I mean, he has like Agonizing Remorse, not great there. He's tooled it kind of for these bigger mana decks, but
Yeah, he's a decent sideboard for it too. 2 Love Struck Beast, 2 Disfigure.
Croxa is actually really good in the sideboard for blue-white. They don't really have a way to get rid of them.
Yeah, it's true, eh?
Oh, I know. I hate that card. Whenever I play against Croxa decks playing blue-white, I'm like, ugh, man, this is going to be such a grind. Like, if they just commit to playing this card out, like, you don't really have answers to that thing, man. Like, you have to save your glass caskets for it, but then what? You're just going to let them have their Midnight Reapers or, like, whatever other weird cards? Like, yeah, it's a beating, man. Like, it's really bad. Yeah, that card's so good against blue-white control. It's actually incredible.
The blue-white deck I've been playing has 4 for the, what's the 2 mana exile black red Devout Decree.
Yeah, Devout
4
Decree.
of those in my sideboard.
I only have 2, but
Yeah, I haven't played standard at all. So I'm in gold, so there's a lot of mono reds. I'm just playing 4 Devout Decree.
yeah. Oh, that explains why you can like never lose. Your sideboard's probably just so hateful.
Yeah, it's great.
I gotta play against like everything at the
Yeah.
But yeah, even then, it's still annoying because the front side's still annoying, and the other side will still get you. So even with a Devout Decree, you're still getting 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Also, though, speaking of another card good against control, hoof, Shifting Ceratops. That guy's nuts. Not as good as it used to be because now people play like Shatter. Well, Shatter, you still draw your card.
Elspeth Conquers Death lines up pretty well.
It's still like Shifting's still very good though. It's still very, but it's not what it used to be. Cards like Unchained, I wouldn't even mind seeing like those 2 be Unchained. Berserkers.
Oh yeah.
That card's super obnoxious versus blue-white.
Yeah, I can see it. That's the pro white red.
I
creature,
guarantee
right?
there's like 4 copies in the mono red lists.
Yeah,
on
it
the
attacks.
sideboards.
It attacks as a 3/1.
As a 3, it's a 2 mana 1/1 that attacks as a 3/1, and
Yeah.
they have 4 in the sideboard.
Yeah.
Like all the mono red lists will.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's super good versus the blue-white control list. It's really, really obnoxious. Yeah, Seth, man, I like this. I like this sideboard a lot.
Robert the Rich, the only couple times I played against mono red, has looked very good.
Yeah, it's been okay. I'm still always impressed. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm always so impressed with Rimrock Knight out of mono red, man. That card always just brings the deeps. I think there's so much damage, man.
somewhere Phil Sams doesn't know why he's happy.
Yeah, man. That thing is the reason I feel like that card is the reason I lose to mono red if I ever am playing blue white. Because they just like play a Scorch Spitter on 1 and then like Rimrock Knight me like twice or something. I'm like, oh, you know, like play like an 0-4, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, Unchained Berserker pretty good. Playing the food deck is crazy to me. I'm so curious. I think the food deck has like probably pretty all around okay matchups though. Like its blue-white matchup can't be that bad, right?
I don't think so.
Like a single, actually, can you go up to Paulo's blue-white list? If you kill the Archon of Sun's Grace, game 1, can they ever win if you just have Cat Oven?
I don't think so.
You can gain enough life. The Dream Trawler can't do anything. He has a 1 of Dream Trawler. So if the Archon of Sun's Grace can't make 2/2 flyers, can the blue-white deck actually beat the food deck?
They keep Elspeth Conquers Death, bringing back Archon.
Yeah, but he has 4 Agonizing Remorse in his deck.
Yeah, he just gets rid of it.
Nail
That's
it too,
true.
right?
Yeah.
His deck's probably really well
Hey,
set
if you
up
tag
to
the
fight
Archon out of the
blue-white
graveyard,
decks.
then
Or his hand, like either one.
yeah.
How do you actually can't lose?
Yeah, 4 Remorse in the main deck is actually probably a great call. For
It's actually like a giga brain decision.
Mm-hmm. It's very good with one of your worst matchups too, Jeskai Fires. It's very good versus Teamer Wreck as well. You know, it's just the entire field except mono red's great against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it seems good. As long as you dodge mono red, you'll be okay. And like Cam said, your mono red matchup's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm surprised like how good food looks here. Yeah, it's kind of surprising. Massacre Girl looking pretty bad though. Holy
Yeah, it's
smokes.
good versus the 4 mono red decks. on the field, and that's it, but-
Registering Massacre Girl here. Oof. Like that's the one that I'm like, I don't know about that one, Chief. Like this ain't it.
Well,
Even is it good against mono red? I don't even know. Like
yeah, it's probably
How are
fine.
you supposed to kill them Scorch Spitters if you don't have a Mayhem Devil?
Yeah. It has to be great versus mono red.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Seems horrible.
He's got 3 Thrashing Brontodon in his main
Yeah,
deck
that-
too. This guy's a genius.
Yeah, then you're okay. You got that's the mono red block right there.
Yeah.
If they get a bit too ambitious playing out like a Torbrand or something, like it's a lot of pings to kill a Torbrand, but if they've got some other idiots and you Massacre Girl them,
If they have other idiots and a Torbrand, you're dead.
maybe you're at like 25 and you go to 1.
That's how Torbrand works, man. They put an Embercleave on something and you die.
Yeah, but they gotta like cast it. They gotta pay 4 for it. They can't do that much that turn.
Cleans up Annex battlefields really well too.
That is true. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Cleaning up the Annex stuff is pretty helpful. I'm just so used to not having to worry about that because I just Elspeth Conquers Death that thing.
I guess, yeah, some of the ways like on certain battlefields, Annex trigger will resolve in the middle of Massacre Girl's trigger, and then it'll get all the 1/1s.
Yeah, I can clean them up after. Yeah. Even just hitting them. Yeah. Okay. Looks a lot better versus Mono Red than I first thought just because of Annex. Yeah. It's crazy how much that card mattered. This is a good snapshot of cards that matter in Standard, though, right now for people listening. If you're sort of like actually most of this podcast, except for me, we've been sort of out of Standard for a while. And actually, most of the podcasts lately, we've been talking about Pioneer, talking about other formats. So in a return to Standard, yeah, some of the sort of defining features are, you got to deal with Dream Trawlers, Narset, Teferi 3, unfortunately, still back again. Just when you thought he was back.
That guy's not going anywhere.
Yeah, oh no, not a chance. And then Wilderness Wreck, yeah, the Wilderness Wreck deck. Yeah, fast as intermittent, yeah. Although Teferi good against that deck. Yeah, metagame lines up really well. It's not as cut and dry as you would think. That this deck beats that deck and then that beat, you know what I mean? It's not a rock, paper, scissors metagame at all.
That was something I wanted to mention. Another key card that Reclamation picked up, and maybe people know about this, but Reclamation in the past kind of folded to Teferi 3s. They had to play things like Blast Zone. They played weird cards to get Teferi 3 off the board so that they could use the Reclamation. Generally, the Nexus decks had this problem. But Storm's Wrath, helping against Mono Red, cleaning up Planeswalkers.
Yeah, that it does damage both to Planeswalkers and creatures is insane. That card's so good.
So like what Adam was saying, maybe you were saying in the pre-show, that in the blue-white mirror, you don't want to minus your Teferis for value. You want to save them until you can minus them on something to actually pick them up. Against Reclamation, it's going to be the same thing. Like you need to get your Teferis out of Storm's Wrath range first.
Yeah, you just always plus.
Yeah.
Thinking you're minus? No, you're wrong.
It's funny on the walk over. I was saying that to Cam too, actually, that one of the weird things you have to do even against Mono Red is tick up your Teferi and stuff just to protect, because the amount of times you'll want to keep your Teferi against Mono Red is actually quite high, because either you can shatter them on their turn, they can't Embercleave you during combat. Like, it actually matters quite a bit. There's really unique interactions right now in Standard that sort of define the metagame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
So, what do you guys like this weekend? What do you think is going to take down the whole thing?
I don't know. I could see any of these decks winning. Having played a ton of Standard, I think they're all very good.
I hope it's not Fires. Otherwise, I'm fine.
Yeah. I mean, Fires is like kind of miserable. I don't think it's like super well positioned though. Like, I'm just not convinced it's good versus blue-white. Like,
honestly, couldn't tell you.
I played it a few times and I just like 2-0'd them not close. Like every time I've played it, maybe 2 or 3 times in the last while, because you never see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
At least, I don't know, like at what rank, like at higher ranks, like at, I played it a few times, but I've just stomped them with blue-white, but not with a single Dream Trawler. I have multiple copies, so maybe that matters. Like, I don't know what the one Dream Trawler matchup looks like, but man, the Fires matchup felt like a joke. So maybe I'm missing something, but it could be good versus Team or Reclamation, maybe. I don't know. Just because you do have a lot of really annoying threats. But playing like something like 4 Elspeth Conquers Death just feels so good against Jeskai Fires. It hits their Fires. It hits
literally everything.
Hits literally everything. Like, yeah. Like, sure, if they like multiple spell, like they can nut draw you, but they don't always nut draw you. Like, there are times where you're just gonna have a Narset and their Cavaliers they literally can't cast the blue one, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you. Just so much of the blue-white deck seems to line up very well versus the Jeskai deck, and it's going to be a lot harder to stick a Fires and actually keep it in play for multiple turns against blue-white with how their decks are built now. But
yeah, that's what I mean. And it even feels like the Jund Food deck is prepared to beat Fires still, you know? Just main deck Thrashing Brontonon. It has Epic Downfalls on the sideboard. It has answers. The only question I have, and this is what I was saying at the beginning, is that I don't know what the Fires Wilderness Wreck matchup looks like, because I haven't played that. I have played actually quite a bit of the Wilderness Reclamation deck, But I just haven't played it against Fires. But I've played it against everything else.
I am
So I
just kind of like thinking about it. I would think Jeskai Fires is probably favored.
I think so too, but I just don't know. Like, that's why I don't want to make a hard, fast decision on this one. So, I'm pretty confident in my assessment in the rest of the matchups talking about this for Worlds, but for that particular matchup, I'm not sure what it looks like. Whereas we kind of know what all the other matchups will look like, or at least I'm familiar with it and I can comment on them. But this is a matchup that, I just haven't really seen much of or played much, even despite, I played Fires last season, right? I played it a bunch. I played Wilderness Rec this season. It's just, I've played a bunch of Mono Red this season. I've played almost every deck in Standard except for I just haven't really played Fires this season. And I just, while playing Wilderness Rec, never ran into it because, I don't know. I just feel like that deck disappeared, right? I'm not crazy?
Yeah, no, it did. It definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really hear people talking about Fires at all. But, I mean, if you look at the guys who register it, Gabe Nassif, Javier Dominguez, Marcio Carvalho, and
these
Matt
are
Levy,
people with...
These are sickos. Like,
Yeah. These are people who will just win Pro Tours all the time, right?
Yeah.
So...
Our reigning world champion, 2 Hall of Famers, Marcio, who top 8s almost every Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Like, these are some really, really talented, smart guys when it comes to Magic. So maybe they just know something we don't. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to play it tonight. Maybe I'll play it tonight or tomorrow at the latest on stream. So if people listening, check it out. I'll stream some Jeskai Fires.
At the same time, though,
Disorganized Wizards Club.
Paulo is playing blue-white. So maybe everybody else is missing something.
Yeah, because, when's the last time I've seen that guy play blue-white?
When's the last time you saw that guy lose?
I don't know. No,
I can't remember.
Yeah, that guy doesn't lose.
Yeah. Well,
like Paulo is a big fan of playing mono red. He's played it to big success, and he's on the control deck instead of mono red. So,
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm looking forward to Worlds, but I mean, I have a lot to say about usually this, various different Standard decks. We'll talk about it a lot next weekend. Well, actually, no, next week we'll do a limited episode, probably, right? Oh yeah, if you want to hear all about the breakdown of one of the best formats they've had in a while, let me tell you, come join us for our discussion of Theros Beyond Death Limited. It's the bee's knees. Format rules. It's so much fun. Even if Hemsley can go 2-1 in every match he plays or every event he plays, no matter what. Even at the Pro Tour, right? He went 2-1.
1-1-1.
Oh, he broke the curse.
Yeah.
Leading up to that, I think he played like 40 different drafts and he went 2-1 in every single one. Bad deck, 2-1. Good deck, 2-1. Nuts deck, 2-1. Garbage deck, 2-1. Just didn't matter. He messaged me that and he's like, is this nihilism? Like, is this what I am now? Yeah, it was pretty great. But this format rules, super fun, super interesting. I can't wait for next week's episode to dive into talking all about Limited. We'll cover what happens at this tournament as well, because now that we're getting back into the swing of things in preparation for GP Detroit, we'll be playing a lot more Standard.
Yeah, definitely.
Test and get ready.
Yeah, so let's wrap this thing up. Thank you all for joining the club this week. Make sure, as always, you check out wizardtower.com for all your Magic single needs. Be sure to sign up for the DWC organizational coming to you March 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/DWC Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at DWC Podcast 1, Facebook, the Disorganized Wizards Club Podcast, and however you listen to the show, whether it's Podbean, iTunes, any podcast app. Leave a review, rate the podcast, share it with your friends. Everything helps, keeps this thing growing, and bring it to new listeners. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you all next week.